Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Teach Middle East podcast. Today, I am with Ruth Burke, and she is the principal of the Swiss International School, Dubai. And we will be talking about boarding schools, the rise and the popularity of boarding schools within this region, what's prompting that. We're going to look at boarding schools, whether they are better than day schools. I don't think we can come to a full conclusion of that, but we're going to attempt anyhow. We're also going to be talking about what we think the future of boarding schools might look like in this region and further afield if we get there. So let me welcome Ruth to the podcast. Hi, Ruth. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. Thank you, Leisa.
Would you mind introducing yourself, as I do on every episode? Just ask my guests to introduce themselves to my audience.
So my name is Ruth. I'm the principal, as you said, of Swiss International School Dubai. I've been in position now since September. Very excited about the potential and all that this school offers and is. And I'm looking forward to being on the journey in terms of the next part of the school's development. I've been in Dubai now for 20 years, working and leading schools, and I've worked in some amazing schools with great teams within the city. It's certainly a dynamic place to work and one that I absolutely love. Enjoy every moment of being in Dubai, both from a living point of view as well as working.
And Swiss International School is unique in that it's one of very few boarding schools in the region, let alone Dubai. What is it about Swiss International School that you have found, that you've joined it recently, but I'm sure you found what the uniqueness is? What would you say makes it unique?
It's such a unique school because it has so many unique factors. And so often in schools we work in, we're really like honing in what are our unique selling points. But there's a plethora of uniqueness about this school. So first and foremost, it offers a bilingual curriculum right through from age 3 to 18. So we've got French and English, and we've got German and English streams. We also offer a STEAM curriculum, again, right from KG through the primary years. So we're sort of offering a lot of different pathways for our children. Uniqueness in terms of IB approach, right from early years, PYP, right through to the IB DP and the IB CP. And one of only 40 schools worldwide that offer the IB program right from then. Of course, as you mentioned, the boarding brings a particular uniqueness to the school in this region and indeed worldwide. There's something very special about what a boarding school can offer and the culture and that well-being piece that really sits hand in hand with the boarding. So yeah, very unique, very exciting and dynamic.
I didn't realize you were bilingual. I knew, obviously, with the Swiss name to it, there might be some French in there, but I didn't know the curriculum was delivered in both languages. How does that work?
So in terms of choices for parents when they join, they can join and enroll the children in English and French or in English and German, or if they want to do IB in English. So there's actually 3 pathways right from pre-KG and through the school system. And then, of course, that high level of authentic language acquisition, opportunities for children to practice their language and consolidate their language in a range of foundation and core subjects, and of course through social as well. So a really strong emphasis on the learning of language. And we do that through a co-teaching approach. So we have 2 qualified teachers in every class up to and including grade 3. And that will be rolled out to grades 4 and 5 from September 22. So the model is very different, with 2 teachers co-owning that classroom. So in effect, it's class sizes of 1 to 13 with the 2 teachers in the classroom, supporting each other with the bilingualism. So, you know, if I'm teaching a new concept in mathematics, for example, my counterpart who might be teaching in French or in German will also be consolidating and working on the concept in their language. So the children are exposed to technical language and conversational language in real life learning situations, which really does bring a very special flavour to the classrooms and also to the experience for the children. So real authentic learning opportunities. And we see that then through with the children in an MYP and then on to DP, where some of our children graduate with bilingual diplomas. So yeah, there's something for everybody here. But for those families who are just looking for a really high quality IB program, that's also there in English alone too, with a high level of additional language input. So for example, if you choose that English stream and from KG onwards, your children will also get the benefit of the additional language features that we have at our disposal. So that French and German as an additional language is also there for other families. So yeah, it's really quite exciting and very different.
It's interesting because with such a mix of offerings, you do the IB program, and then you've got that whole bilingual piece in there. What kinds of families do you attract? Are they locals or are they mostly Europeans? What's the makeup and the population of the school?
Well, 72 nationalities, so truly international. So it really is an attractive proposition for a wide range of people from all over the world. And I think what we know and what the research shows us is where children are exposed to bilingual or indeed trilingual, multilingual approaches, their brain develops in a way that really does allow them to be creative, to be masters of language, to have that kind of international mindedness that goes hand in hand with that language development too. So yeah, I think ambitious parents who are looking for something that is quite unique and very special for the children, and it's certainly here. It's alive and well here at Swiss.
So then with that bilingualism and the IB program, you also have that boarding piece that comes in.
Yes.
And what percentage of your population are boarding versus day students?
Oh, it's a small minority at the moment in terms of our boarding, because we've got 50 boarders here on site. And we're a school of 1,400 students with a growing boarding facility. So we're seeing that, a huge growth actually over the pandemic period, where parents were really looking for a flexibility with jobs and changes in travel, but maybe not wanting their children to be so far away in Europe, in America, etc. So we saw some families within the GCC region relocating boarding children here to Dubai. And of course, the whole pandemic was handled so successfully here in the city. I think that's also played to the growth in boarding numbers. That it really, it's a healthy, safe city to be in. And if you've got teenagers interested in boarding and really buying into all that boarding can offer, Dubai really is a great place to make that happen. I mean, boarding in the sunshine, it's sort of a new concept, but it works so well. It is a safe city. There's so many things for teenage children to get involved in. There's a very rich curriculum in terms of visits, trips, visitors, culture, an understanding of a new culture. So yeah, an awful lot to offer. And certainly our 50 boarders are kept very busy evenings and weekends with a great range of extra enriching opportunities available.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, what do they do? So once the day part of their schooling is finished, what then happens?
So we have the most amazing facilities here at Swiss, which is actually another one of our unique selling points. The 50-meter swimming pool, the 400-seating auditorium, a full track and field setup. It's all here. So at the end of the school day are enriched opportunities for additional activity begins. Our boarders are very much part of that. There's also opportunity for them to return to the boarding. They might be practicing musical instruments, getting ready to practice and train with the team or in the pool. So there's downtime in terms of they've got independent time, and then they meet for dinner. And then there's a full range of activities for them post-dinner, weekends, etc. So it includes lots of sport and fitness. We have an amazing gym here that's at the school, so training, conditioning, team games, but also opportunities for the children to be supported in their academic endeavour too, in that prep school way. So there's people available at all times to help them help the children if they need some additional support with a particular subject or a project. So that wraparound care, both pastoral, health and fitness, and academic, works very well in the boys' boarding as well as in the girls' boarding houses. So yeah, it's very organised. I first became interested in boarding personally when my son got the opportunity to go to boarding school. And what I find is the children have such a full schedule of activity available to them. They become very organised and very able to prioritise what needs to be done. There is no time for procrastination as a boarding school student, because from A to B to C, there's a schedule of events there. You sign up for various things, you get involved, and I think sense of community too is really lovely to see, where the older, more established students in the boarding have really taken on to help and support and peer tutor and just really, really get involved with the younger children. So there is that family feel, and you see that at meal times, and you see that at activities, whether they're off to Hatta or they're off at IMG or wherever the trip is. You'll see that sense of comradeship and real family feel to life within the boarding.
What would you say there is an advantage then for your child going into boarding over just day school? Do you think that there is?
Well, certainly, I mean, every child is different and every family has their own priorities. But certainly I saw firsthand for my one of my sons that really did bring him a sense of purpose. It allowed him to be really involved in his passion, which for him was football, and getting that time on the grass was really important for him. So here, with all the facilities available, it does allow for, the passions and that sense of purpose to really develop. It also gives the children a great grounding in working with a range of children, living with a range of people from a wide range of contexts. So I think in terms of open-mindedness, it very much sits with all that the IB, is about. So yeah, there's great gains. Also for those academic students to have the access to the libraries, to the labs, all of that extra available really is something quite special. For me, as a mum, I think it really does offer great opportunities for children, both pastorally and academically. And in terms of things like timekeeping and organising your time, as I said, and, really being self-sufficient and independent in readiness for university and beyond, it really does give our children the edge.
So here's my question, though. I know that there are lots of good things about boarding, but how does boarding help with that social, emotional part of the child's development, being away from what I would consider the nurturing cocoon of a family unit?
Well, I think that's a great question. And that's the challenge for any boarding school, is to create that nurturing cocoon, to make sure that the child feels safe, supported, nurtured, and really that sense of scaffolding around them so that they can be successful. And the best boarding schools, and here at Swiss, what we look at is that wraparound care. So those key people, including, that feeling of homeliness, that feeling of, I need a snack, there is a pantry, things I like are in the pantry, and that voice in terms of what are we having for dinner, what's the plan for the next 3 weeks, and having an input into the menu and having that sense of voice and, a deep sense of belonging. And so I totally take on board what you're saying about the family unit, but that's what we create so well. And the school doctor is involved in that, the school counsellor, heads of boarding, and heads of sports and fitness. And I think for me, what I've loved to see here, and I think is really central to the success of our boarding, is the student voice. So just at home with teenagers, they've got plenty to say, and you're never short of feedback, whether it's the menu for the week or what's in the lunches, or it's often about food or what the entertainment of the weekend is going to be. The children have a say, and their voice is very much listened to, and there's plenty of options and opportunities for them to really decide, make decisions, and have that opportunity to take control and to be involved.
So I'm going to let you into a little secret. I am a product of a all-girls boarding school. So I went to boarding school for high school, and Brilliant. I didn't have a say in what we ate.
Well, we're different here at Swiss, though.
And it wasn't in Dubai, I can tell you. Obviously not. And also it was, I don't know, there was a part of me that felt a little bit disconnected from my family. I did miss quite a lot. And I wondered, with this new, I'm sure things are being done differently from when I went to school back in the day. How do you ensure that the students keep that close connection with their family?
Well, I think, if the pandemic taught us anything, is that, the power of technology in terms of keeping personal relationships alive and well, and that connectedness. And we know, don't we, that to have that feeling of wellness and for our students to thrive, they absolutely have to be connected with their peers and their families. So there's so many opportunities for them to be on Zoom and to Skype, to use the technology to be connected, but also for the tutors, the academic tutors, and all our staff involved in the pastoral care to also be connected with mums and dads and family. So that communication really is fluid and an instant. So if there is a worry or a concern or a dietary issue, for example, or a lack of engagement, whatever is going on, the parents will be kept in the loop, and we very much closely work with all parties to make sure that everybody's needs are met. So that really is that wraparound care and that high level of quality that's sort of synonymous with the Swiss approach. So high levels of communication, really strong check-in procedures too, and even most recently we're using an app called Pulse, that the students can regularly give a health check on how they're feeling to the tutors, so that we have a real 360 approach week to week on what's going well and the even better ifs. So lots of feedback, I think, is the really important thing. And just like running a home with your own family, it's about those constant check-ins, keeping opportunities for dialogue and conversation open, and making sure that you're never too busy to have the conversation and the check-in and the chat and the laughs as well. And when I look at the boarding staff and I see them with the children, there's a lot of laughter going on, a lot of banter, and a lot of very, very good work around the pastoral and the academic support. So really looking at both of those things in tandem.
I think things have changed. The technology really does make it better, because when I was in boarding school, I didn't see my parents until it was home weekend. You're allowed to go home those weekends, and then they come and pick you up, and then you'd go home. But now I guess so, and we, of course, we didn't have this Zoom and all of those things. Not that I'm that old, but we just didn't have them. But
the other thing we offer is the flexi boarding. So not all our children would be boarding for the half term or indeed the term. So with different parents working different patterns, there's an opportunity here for just being in boarding during the week. And then for other parents, they choose that flexi boarding. So it might be that, 3 weeks out of 4, the child is boarding, and then the parents are in town. So it's a very, very flexible approach. We really do cater for what parents and families need. And I think more and more that's going to be how boarding schools really do work with families. And not everybody's working 9 to 5 in the same country every day. So it's looking at what does a family need and how can we support that family to do right by each and every one of the children. So it's sitting down and saying, what do you need? You're in the GCC region. You're here 3 weeks out of 4. What about that 4? How can we support? So it's quite bespoke and it's very, very much tailored to family needs.
It's boarding 2.0.
And again, I think the pandemic has taught us that that absolute need for flexibility is key in all elements of education, and especially boarding.
Yeah, let's see if the language of boarding schools is universal. So do the students still have prep?
We don't call it prep. No, we don't. We call it learning time at home. But in essence, a good boarding school is preparing the children to be successful academically, whilst taking care of every aspect of their mental health and physical health as well.
Yeah, we had prep and house mother. They call them house mothers? Or
no, we don't have a house mother either. No. We have heads of boarding, and we do have a matron.
Okay, so I think the language, it's definitely boarding 2.0 then, because even the language has changed from when I was in school. But in terms of parents, when they come to you with their students, what are their needs now? Because I'm sure that those parents have a certain type of need that they want met. What are some of those needs?
Well, it's very varied. And I suppose back to our USPs, some parents, especially post-pandemic, want the children to be active and busy. And because of our amazing sports facilities, for example, we really can offer an amazing array of sporting opportunities, from fitness and conditioning strength training, to swimming, to football, to track and field. It's all here. So a lot of parents are looking for a different lifestyle for their children that is not around screen time. So I'd say first and foremost, a lot of conversations are had around that. I think secondly, because of the bilingual approach and the fact that we really do have amazing standards within French and German as well as English, parents who really do want the children immersed in a language focused approach also choose us. And of course, with the flexible boarding, those families who are, working across different countries and different time zones, it does really offer opportunities for great wraparound care for their children too. So yeah, I'd say every family is quite different in what they're looking for. And I think that's the amazing thing about the school. If we can really tailor to what families need and really do build a really bespoke program for the children. So it's very dynamically.
Do you think there's any child that boarding isn't right for?
It's a really good question. And I think you do have to look at case-by-case situations, and where, for example, children have, particular needs around separation or anxiety, you have to look at that on a case-by-case basis. There's counsellors here at school, there's amazing people in terms of nurses, doctors, professionals, but, for some children, they might not settle away from home, and there'll be several reasons for that. And we do work very closely with families to make sure that we're really transparent if there's a need for additional support from an external provider, for example. If there's a need for any sort of additional input, we will be communicating with the parents, because it's like any sort of provision. It works for children, and then occasionally you'll have a child that maybe doesn't settle. Lots of reasons for that, but I think with high levels of care and support, you can pinpoint that and work closely with mums and dads to really give an honest approach and to do right by every child. And I think that's the really important thing. Our values here are bilingualism. I've mentioned excellence, and I think that excellence, the sustainability and the together, but the excellence and the together really do permeate boarding in that. It's got to be top-notch, Swiss level excellence. It's got to be high end. And we see that even with the type of bedrooms the children have, for example, they're all in their own ensuite room. So it's really 5-star approach to the provision here. And so, it's quite different. It's not dormitory, we don't share rooms. So it's
that
quite
was the
phenomenal.
fun, though. But that was the fun of boarding. To be honest, that's the thing I enjoyed most, is that I had roommates, and some of my roommates from boarding school are some of my best friends now, because
I love to hear that.
We shared that experience in high school. We grew up together, obviously, as families, and I knew we had to split and travel all over the world during holidays, but we still kept in touch. And then when we got back together, it was just a lot of fun talking about where we went and what we did, or those of us who didn't travel or stayed home, or you know what I mean. So it's the fun bit. So having an ensuite room, I mean, I know it's luxurious, but gosh, I don't know if that's the best thing, but we'll see.
Well, it is interesting, and I suppose the clientele and these children are coming from a particular place in their own home lives. So it really is home away from home, and I can assure you that the fun and the collegiate and that sort of collaboration and all in it together is alive and well. And you see it particularly at dinner and lunch times. Breakfast, not so much, I'll have to be honest. Breakfast is a much quieter affair. Everybody tends to keep to themselves a little bit more, and teenagers and mornings and all of that. But I think with the wide range of activities that they're all involved in, and of course then the recreation time and great things set up for the students to be involved in there too. So there's a real sense of family, and I'm sure, like you described, friendships for life. And I think that's something lovely with boarding as well. And thinking of my own son, long after he has left his secondary schooling, friends for life. It's a different experience, and it really does. It does embed so much in terms of personal relationships. So there's definitely an extra edge there for those of you who were lucky enough to be boarders on the way through.
I don't know. I look at my own kids. I think it's because I'm a product of boarding school. I always look at them and think, oh my God, I'll never allow it. But I'm just like a mother hen. It's got nothing to do with boarding school, but I think boarding schools are great. It's just
come and visit. Come and have a look around anytime you're passing. We'd be delighted to show you.
Yeah, would love to do that. What about local families and regional families? Are you seeing an increase in those families taking up the boarding option as well, even though they're local or regional?
Yes, the regional piece is a huge one, I think, again, for that flexibility, and because we are particularly unique with the language offering as well. I think it just gives that added flexibility for families. The sport, the performing arts, the creative arts is all part of the, what's available. And with that flexi boarding, parents can fly in and out who are in the region and catch up with the children at different times during the week or weekend. So it's certainly something that we will continue to see develop. And I think the market really does show that post-pandemic, that families are looking for different ways to bring up their families whilst keeping in touch with a range of jobs, and the whole timeline around jobs and working hours is so different that the flexible boarding certainly is giving families within the region great options.
Yeah, we're winding down, but when you think of boarding and you think of how it's developing, how it's evolving, what does boarding 3.0 look like?
Oh, that's a great question. I think increased flexibility will really be part of that. I think also, within the region, there's opportunities to really hone in on particular sports, for example, football, and be a centre of excellence, where you build the classroom timetable around your grass timetable, for example, or similarly with your swimming pool, your pool hours around your classroom timetable hours. So for those children who have a particular passion and a level of expertise, who need to kind of have that elite training, that's certainly something that I think there's room for growth to really bring that excellence to sport, and similarly with musicianship as well. So having those opportunities on campus for extra tutoring before school, after school, orchestral work, that kind of thing. So rather than, families driving to, 6 different places post school hours and mums and dads on the road trying to organise all that, I think where schools can provide that level of provision and that wraparound, that's something that we will really see develop in the years ahead.
Yeah, I think one thing that's come out of our conversation is that you're seeing a need for greater flexibility, and schools that are able to provide that flexibility and to cater to their clients, we to call them clients because that's who they are. They are the ones who are going to be at the cutting edge, because people are asking and demanding that greater level of flexibility. So I think, I do agree.
And as well as that greater level of flexibility, I think there's a real demand too for that high end, real emphasis on quality. So, really feeling that you're getting that return on investment. And yes, you're spending money, but it's money well spent. And you can see it in the children's approaches to all aspects of learning and their openness and their willingness to get involved. So I think it's that flexibility and excellence together.
Awesome. So I'm going to take it away from your particular school. And this is my last question. I like to ask this question of school leaders when I talk to them. In general, so we're thinking education in general, globally, what would you say is your greatest wish for education in general going forward?
I think really, Leisa, it's about focusing on children as individuals. It's about making sure that every child can be successful. So personalizing provision, experiences and opportunities so that every child feels at the end of the lesson, at the end of the day, at the end of the academic year, that they have enjoyed their learning and that they have been successful in their learning. So it's about richness of opportunities, personalizing experience so that there's a joy for every child in the process, and that feeling of, I'm doing well. I know what my next steps are and I can do this. Yeah.
That's a great place to end the podcast. Knowing exactly where they are, how they're progressing, and having that joy within to know that they're hitting the targets that they've set for themselves. So that whole personalization of education. Thank you,
exactly.
Ruth.
And of course, if we can achieve that, we know that the children are going to be well, they're going to be engaged in the learning process a long time, and they're going to be successful adults and able to contribute.
Yes, and that's all we want. We want our students, our children, to be able to contribute to society. I really enjoyed our chat. Thank you so much for joining me.
Great to chat. Speak to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon.